Okay, good morning, everybody. I hope you guys don't mind, but I just have my camera pointed at my freaking makeup container, my makeup drawer, whatever it's called. Because, first of all, I'm up early, I'm having my coffee, and I'm doing a pore refining mask for my skin, right, for your face. It's called the T-Zone and Full Facial Mud Mask, enriched with peppermint oil, cooling camphor, and grape extract. So we'll see if this stuff works or not. But yeah, I just wanted to talk while I had my coffee. I woke up this morning and I was, looking up Chris Watts, and I noticed that very recently there have been more and more people that are not from Watts Island and don't cover the case doing maybe, like, I'll say, an honest critique or analysis of Shannon Watts. And I've really been enjoying that. You guys should look up Chris Watts if you haven't in a while, because there are some, I don't know if they're therapists or if they're just random people that are giving their thoughts on Shannon Watts. But it's for people that don't cover the case, they have her pegged really well. And I really like how they were not afraid. They were saying what they really saw, right? They were just being truthful and honest. They might have got some details wrong. Like, I heard one person say, Shannon Watts had lupus, and it's like, no, healthy female body, no signs of illness or disease. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. These people are not sleuthing the case of Christopher Watts and Shannon Watts, but they are just saying that they see personality disorders, they see narcissism, and that even though Shannon Watts is technically a victim, right? Chris Watts did plead guilty to her murder. So technically Shannon Watts is a victim. However, in reality, just because someone is a victim of a case does not mean they're off limits, and that, like I've said 100 freaking million times before, that they're not subject to criticism, right? It doesn't mean that they're now just saints. It doesn't mean we can't analyze their behavior that is so obvious right in front of our face. So I'm really happy to see that these people that have no leg in the race, right? They have nothing to gain. They're not trying to prove their theory. They don't have a team or anything. They just randomly, I guess, decided to speak on Shannon Watts. And yeah, their analysis are pretty deep dived and they're pretty good, I will say. Like I said, details, how important are they when you already know, and it takes years to know some of the things that people on Watts Island know. So I don't really care about that, but I'm so glad that finally, right, people are telling the truth about Shannon Watts without fear of repercussion. Because even like a year ago, if you did a video like what I do or what these people are doing, you would be totally bullied in your own comments, right? You would be bullied, you would be harassed, you would be put down, all that. But now it seems like you can do a analysis of Shannon Watts and the majority of the people will agree with you. So when did that happen? The tide has definitely turned there. That is something new, because not too long ago, you weren't even allowed to say, right, anything bad about her. Because there are like these teams of shiners that, I don't know, they're like, you're victim shaming, you're victim blaming, and if they're a mod, then they're gonna block you and they're gonna mute you and they're gonna bully you and they're gonna shame you, right? And the shaming is a really, it's a tactic, not only for the person leaving the comment, but so that nobody else will have the bravery to comment, right? If you see someone else shares your opinion, left a comment and got shamed and was like belittled for their comment, then you're not gonna leave a comment there. You know it's not welcome, and that opinion isn't welcome there. So yeah, it's another bully tactic. And I don't know if they have such a strong case, right? If they have a strong case for Shannon Watts, if there is a strong case with evidence and that adds up, and they can answer all the questions we've been asking, like why would someone say check the knives? Why would someone never go to a doctor's appointment when they're freaking 15 weeks pregnant, right? Why would somebody be locking their children in their rooms? You know, just a million questions. But if they had a strong case, then why do you need to bully people? Why do you need to block people? Why do you need to censor people? If you can just squash out, right? If you can just put out all the fires, right? And where there's smoke, there is fire. And so if you can just put out what everybody's saying, what people like me say, with facts and evidence to squash out what I'm saying, then why would you need to delete, block, mute these people, right? The reason they do that also is because they didn't want this to happen. Like, so now majority of people agree that Shannon Watts had personality disorders, that she was a narcissist, right? That she was abusing and neglecting the kids. And that's what they were trying to prevent, okay? So by blocking and muting people with that share our opinion about her, they didn't want their followers and their subscribers and the people that they had, right, they were stringing along with their lies, to have a seed planted in their mind, right? They didn't want that seed planted in their mind where they were going to go look it up and see if it was true, or it was going to create a little seed of doubt, like, hey, that doesn't make sense, let me go look into this. But it didn't work. So it definitely didn't work. And now the tide has changed. And so I do think it's awesome that some outsiders, like I said, and that's not to minimize or diminish what they said or their analysis. I'm just saying that they don't regularly cover the case or speak about the case, right? So I think that maybe kind of like how a lot of true crimers don't get stuck on one case and they'll just go all over the place, and whatever's new or whatever's popular, they'll talk about it. I think that's why they picked up on Shannon Watts. And I find it very interesting that these point of views are now very logical, very honest and forthcoming, and that people aren't now just saying, oh, just tiptoe, well, she was human, well, she could have changed. Like, I hate hearing that. Oh, she could have changed, she never got the chance to change because CW killed her. Like, shut the fuck up. That bitch was never gonna change. That nobody could tell that bitch shit, right? Like, that's the biggest fucking lie. And that sounds so dumb. It's like, oh yeah, look at Shannon Watts, this person that nobody could say shit to, who beat up her own husband and put him out in the snow to teach him a lesson, right? Talk about breaking someone's spirit. It's fucking cold in the snow, right? So you violently attack him, shove him out the door, and you make him stay out in the fucking, I think it was snowing, right? It was cold, definitely. Make him stay out in the cold with no fucking coat, and that will definitely break someone's spirit. And she chose him for a reason. And the narcissists and abusers target certain personalities. These people are so evil. I'm sorry to say, but it's so evil the way they move around in life. They have no good intentions. They have bad intentions, and they prey upon good people, right? So CW, Chris, was somebody who sees the good in everyone, right? And believes everyone is good, okay? And SW was a very experienced fucking criminal, right? Party girl, high school dropout, fucking had a lot of things going on, right? So she was from the wrong side of the tracks, right? And she made herself appear, right, that she was, I guess, in Hawaii we call it high maka maka, but you know, a high maintenance, high standards kind of person, when really she's basically from the trailer parks, okay? Her family was fucking trash, okay? Look at her brother. Look at his fucking truck. Oh my God. He lives in a fucking basement. He's over fucking 30 years old. Anyways, that's another one. One of these people that are talking about this case should now analyze him and why he is doing this weird behavior that he's doing all over the internet now, right? Because we've never seen that before from any victim, quote unquote, victim's relative or sibling. We've never seen them do what Junior is doing all over the internet 4 years later. So anyways, I digress. Sorry, let me take a sip of my coffee. But yeah, so when Chris got together with her, he didn't see what was coming, and he had no idea what was in store. And I believe that everyone tried to sell her, right? So that SW could now be Chris's problem, right? The family wouldn't have to deal with it anymore. They could just FaceTime and check in on her, and they wouldn't have to be so hands-on, and right, he could take her off of their hands, right? Because she was a problem child. She was always had issues, and she always had drama. Everywhere she went, it followed her. And so the family sold her personality, the fake story, the fake persona. They sold it, okay? And it wasn't, I believe, until after they were married that the true Shannon came out, okay? That the true SW showed her true colors, and it was like, bang, you're now married to me. This is what it's gonna be. This is, you know what I mean? Then the full bitch came out, in other words, and the full crazy could go on display. And Chris had no freaking experience with that kind of personality or with that kind of behavior or even that kind of people, right? Because he came from a truly middle class, nice, Southern Baptist, whatever you want to call it, family, normal freaking family. And it is very weird to think back to the beginning of the case, because at the beginning of the case, remember, they tried to say that Chris was like a weirdo and his family were a bunch of losers, and that Shannon and her family were like rich or something, right? They were really pushing how she bought that house when she was in her early 20s, and she made $500,000, and they really tried to sell the fake persona again. So it's really interesting, in my opinion. And now it's like the truth is out. Everyone knows it was vice versa. Another thing that I did notice, though, when I was listening to those new people analyze Shannon, and her name is Shannon, not Shannon, okay? So I don't know why people are calling her Shannon. That's a freaking fairy tale. That's almost like saying, what are your pronouns today? You know what I mean? Fucking crazy people. Anyways, I'm not playing along. But I did notice that a lot of the commenters were saying that they believe that the Watts did not accept Shannon, that they did not like her, that they bullied her, and that they just, they didn't accept her. And I don't think, if you really look at the case, and if you really analyze the case, and if you really know the case, right, that's not true. The only reason that people thought that, or that they do still think that, is because of the interviews that happened right after the tragedy, right? So right after the tragedy, somebody came up with a script, and everybody told the detectives the same story, and the same story was over and over about how Chris's mom, Cindy, never went to the wedding, how she had nuts and razor blades, and, they all spoke about Nutgate, and they all kind of hammered down on how Chris's mom didn't like her. And so that's where that impression came from, and it stayed, it stuck around for 4 years. And the only way that you can rid yourself of that lie is if you actually look into things, right? If you even just watch the home videos, you'll see how close Shannon and her mother-in-law were, right? Up until probably they were separated. I'm sure things were awkward between them when they were separated. I'm sure things were awkward between them when Shannon was pregnant, right? And her son is telling his mother, I didn't sleep with her. That's not my child. We're separated, right? I'm seeing Nikki now. I'm pretty sure things would get a little weird between them. And, you know, when people know your lie, right? She's a liar, and maybe she's paranoid that everybody knows that the baby that was in her was not Chris's. Sure, she felt a certain way, and it probably escalated her fucking behavior and her mental snap, you know? Anyways, that's another thing that when people analyze Shannon and Chris and the tragedy, what often is forgotten, right? What is often, I don't know why. And I just can't understand it, because you can't just set it aside, right? You can't just ignore and shelf certain things, certain aspects of the case. But anyways, what often is forgotten is that Shannon Watts was announcing that they were separated, right? Shannon Watts was saying she was excited to be, you know, divorcing and getting single again, and asking a divorce lawyer, or asking an attorney. Sorry, he wasn't a divorce attorney, but she was asking an attorney. She was really pushing him, obviously, because when you first meet someone and they say, hey, I'm an attorney, and then you're just gonna like try to get free advice out of them all night long, that's awkward. You know, that means that's gonna leave a impression on them. They will not forget that, right? Anyway, she was asking him lots of questions about custody and what would happen and who would get this and that. And, you know, a lot of people forget these things. And so then they're like, oh yeah, then the affair, quote unquote, gets hyped up. And it's like, what affair? Stop. You know, they weren't even fucking together. They literally slept, he was sleeping in the basement. They were literally sleeping apart, okay? Just because Shannon's texts to her friends might have been painting one story, it does not mean that that is what was happening, right? A liar could have been just backing up her lies, right? Or ensuring her story. A narcissist will make everyone hate you, and you are the innocent bystander. You are the innocent person, right? You are the good person in the relationship. But if you try to leave a narcissist, or if a narcissist is mad at you to punish you, they will turn everyone against you, right? And they will paint themselves out as the victim. So I don't care what Shannon Watts' text said. I would like to see Chris's Watts' text, right? And I would like to compare those two against each other. And that's why a lot of people say that that is evidence, right? Shannon Watts' text and her communication between her and her friends, and that's evidence. But not really. Not if you don't have all of it, right? You have to have all the data before you can say, this is the story. Hold on. Where's Chris's side, right? He literally said, I did not delete my text. You know, he said, NK asked me to delete everything, or told me to delete everything, and I left it in there for you guys, which was law enforcement, so that hopefully it could help. Okay? Very strange wording to coming from a guilty murderer, right? Anyways, so the phone exists. The Watts family has requested for the phone to be returned, and they're refusing to return it. So in my opinion, there is something in that phone that possibly proves Chris's innocence, or possibly might make Shannon look even more guilty, right? Because we see that the DA and law enforcement, they will go out of their way on this case to try to paint her out to be innocent, right? And no matter how hard they try to paint her out to be innocent, she still looks guilty. And that says a lot. And no matter how hard they try to make Chris look like a monster, he still looks timid, submissive, docile, right? Emasculated. And, you know, I was chatting with people in the comment section the other day, and everyone says they can see Chris snapping on Shannon, right? I can see that, okay? I could see that after all that shit, dealing with a bitch like that. I can see that. However, do any of you really see Chris snapping on the kids? And we're talking snap hours after he killed Shannon, supposedly, right? Hours after he killed Shannon. Sorry. So used to seeing the stupid Shannon word. Okay. But hours after he killed her, supposedly, he was still in a rage. Who is in a rage hours later? Go to work, take a fucking hour drive, work for a couple of hours, and then you're still in a snap and you still kill the kids, but then you're completely normal 15, 20, 10 minutes later when your freaking coworkers show up. Then you're just having normal conversations with them. Then you're just not in a snap anymore, right? You're not even in a daze. Nobody says you were acting strange. There is no signs of murder anywhere. So no, I don't see it. I definitely don't see it hours later. And just to clarify, we don't know what happened, but I lean more towards Shannon killed her own daughters. Okay, that's my opinion in a true crime case. And she died over the toilet. Now, did she take something trying to have a miscarriage, right? Was she trying to have a miscarriage because she didn't want to go to the doctors, so she was trying to do it at home? Or did she OD? Or did she, I don't freaking know. But for sure, for certain, that woman died over the toilet, okay? That is also a birthing position. That is the way, women used to get down, crouch down. And so I don't know. I don't know if what happened beyond that point, but I'm, with every fiber in my body, I believe, right? And in my heart and in my mind, I believe that Shannon wanted to take what was most precious to Chris, and that in her psycho rage, because she was in a psycho rage, not Chris, that in her psycho rage, right, that was going on for a while. I think she had a mental breakdown. She was loony out of her mind, right? And she was angry and she was losing everything, and she was going to be homeless, jobless, divorced, pregnant, who knows whose kid it is, he doesn't want it, da da da. In that frame of mind, she killed her children. What happened after that is, I think she died, and I think it was caused, self-inflicted. I'll say that, okay? Self-inflicted. And would she ever? Apparently she would, or else her mother wouldn't ask to check the knives, right? Your daughter misses a doctor's appointment. People haven't talked to her for a couple of hours today, and your mother's gonna say, check the knives. Okay, obviously there is a history of self-harm or threats of self-harm, and so that's why her mother's mind went there. Anyways, I'm gonna continue to get ready. I gotta go wash this mask off my face. You guys all have a beautiful day, and thank you for listening, and I'll catch up with you all soon. Ah, hui ho.